All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Team Impact Book Study with our new book, Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn. I'm Elizabeth Heffner. You probably know me. And I have my friend Tracy Atkins on today. And we met in the therapy world. We work together. She's an OT, I'm a PT. And people actually, our patients would mistake us for one another. So I never was offended by that. I'm like, yes, I am Tracy. I'm super organized and um, super on top of everything. And so, yes, I'm Tracy. So, anyway, and then as an aside, just to let you know, since we don't have like team impact calls necessarily right now, what I want to do is put together one graphic for the Monday night calls that Plexus is doing, and then one graphic for the Thursday. That way you can always have a graphic handy to send when it's appropriate, when you're doing your IPA, when you're talking to people. And then when that specific one comes up for that day with the people on it, you can send that as your reminder. That way we aren't like waiting to tell people about the call, or because the Zoom link will work. The link will always work. It's the same link, but that way we can streamline it a little bit, and we're not dependent on somebody to get those graphics up wherever, and then I'm talking to Plexus and talking to Fallon, like, okay, can we streamline where these are found so that it's a little bit easier, to access them. So anyway, let's get talking about Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn, chapters 1 and 2. And I think just chapter 1 really sets up for the book. Like, sometimes you win, sometimes you are on top of the world, sometimes you're meeting all of your goals, you're crushing all of your goals, you're improving in your weights at the gym, like everything goes well, or some of those things are going well and other things aren't. And he's really going to help us equip to have that emotional maturity and emotional resilience, because he talks a lot how it's like we get so down and it's easy to spiral down and down and down if something goes wrong, and not letting that define us, but to use that opportunity to learn, to step back. And the other thing that I don't want to minimize, like loss of a loved one or loss of, something significant like that. Not so much losses of like people passing away, but more loss of like meeting a goal or loss of a competition. Even Rory Vaden talked about it in that last book, Take the Stairs, how he wanted to be the best speaker and he kept studying and working so hard and he got number 2. And he was tempted to beat himself up over getting number 2 because he really wanted to be number 1 and win that first place award, and then realized how much he had grown and developed and improved in the process of going for number 1, right? So anyway, just not to minimize the emotional exhaustion, the grief and things like that around like physical loss of our loved ones and them passing on, but this is really more talking about how we're meeting goals and going after those achievements. And also he talks a lot about like when you just make mistakes, and it's really easy to, like, I will just beat myself up over mistakes. Like, I put something in this really important place because it was really important, like a family Bible. And I'm like, I hope I know where I put that. Do I know where I put that? Did I put it somewhere? Where could I have put, like, I will sit here and spin my wheels and drive myself insane. And I have to really pray about that. Like, okay, Lord, help me to release that and be okay. And just show me where this Bible is, show me where the whatever is, and move on, and know that even if something terrible did happen to that physical item, it's okay and it doesn't define who I am, right? So anyway, having that, like, I didn't achieve my goal, I didn't get the promotion that I was working so hard on, I didn't get the 10 joins that I really wanted to get this past month, I didn't hit this goal, I didn't sweep the contest, whatever. And it is emotional, but not letting that define us, and just really taking a step back and thinking like, okay, did I do everything I can? Did I work hard enough? But what about these other things that happened in my life during that time that I was going after a goal? Like, oh, the kids had 20 billion soccer games, or basketball games. We had a sick kid. I was sick. Oh, my mom had this happen, like there's all these other life things happening too. And so we want to remember and give ourselves credit for the things that we actually do. Um, and really learning to cultivate those qualities that are going to help us respond to losses and, move on. And I think he just says, sometimes that whole saying is sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and you're just supposed to accept that and be okay with that. And his challenge, John Maxwell's challenge is that we don't have to just live with those results. We can learn. This is not how winners think. So living with the results is not how winners think. Winners really think of how could I have done something differently? What else could I have done? Dana Brennan, I don't think she's on here. She and I both saw the same reel, or I sent it to her or something, and she was like, "Oh, I have to tell you about this." And we were talking about it. It was like a wrestling match or a taekwondo martial arts competition, and the kid didn't do well. He got out, and the coach was like, um we can't do anything about that right now. We can't do anything about your performance right now. We can't fix anything right now, but we can fix that. We're going to talk about it. We're going to deal with it on Monday at practice. Right now, your job is to be a good teammate and to cheer on your teammates, right? And I just love that. And that like has come up in my brain multiple times while reading this book, like thinking, what can we change right now? Okay, if I can't change it right now, moving on, and then making time to circle back and have that reflection um, of what, and then examining what we can change and fix, right? And this is where, like in this business specifically, the coaching calls come on, getting on the phone with your upline, asking questions, maybe fill out a coaching sheet for your own self-reflection, and then saying, hey, I filled out this coaching sheet, I want to get on the phone with you and go over it, right? Like taking that initiative. So anyway, that's kind of what I had to say about that. And then in chapter 2, and then Tracy's going to share too. But chapter 2, just really talking about humility, and just that it's so true. Like the pride comes before the fall, and just being you've all seen it. You've all had, experiences, classmates or teammates or your own kids' teammates or your own kid maybe, who there's just this cocky kid on the sports team thinking, I'm so good. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't be winning, blah, blah, blah. You can see it. And what happens, what I have seen is that when that person does have some adversity or starts, the points start going down, staying the same, and the other teams go up, like then the whole morale just goes down, and that we just really have to remain humble and work hard and have fun, and just also though not let a defeat or let those basketball points, going down, so to speak, compared to the other team, just like defeat us so badly that when we give up or we play frustrated, like any response that's in frustration or like willy-nilly, like that never ends well. And so just being humble and saying, fine, if you're not ready to sign up, right? Like I've told people, like, I want you to feel completely comfortable before you sign up. It could be the last day of the month. I could be so close to, the fourth join that would be some prize or whatever. And just like want to like incentivize the snot out of this person, right? Like, I'll send you a payment code, I'll send you this, I'll send you that, just to get them to sign up. But that's me being prideful and wanting my own goal versus what's best for them, right? And so just that humbleness is really just so important. Ezra Taft Benson, pride is concerned about who's right, and humility is concerned about what's right. I think I need to put that in my kids' lunch boxes, right? um on our kitchen wall, like, our kids do that. Well, he did this, so I did this, so I'm right because he did that to me, so I'm justified to have bad behavior as well, right? um so we, think how we do this in our own justifications of our behavior, right? Take responsibility, being objective, being open-minded. I cannot stand the "this is how we've always done it" comments. Like when you're a new person coming into a situation, a job environment, or whatever, and you have ideas, and it's like, well, this is how we always have done it. It doesn't mean that we aren't going to land back to this is how we've always done it and it works, but it means we are going to listen and be open-minded and have a discussion figure out more of the thought process behind those ideas before we just like shut it down. Being flexible, being secure in who we are, right? And staying connected. So that's the other one that really spoke to me, was letting go of perfectionism and keep trying, and just keep trying. So I definitely can identify with the, well, I'm afraid to do this because I want to make sure it's right and it's perfect before I do it. Like, I want to know I'm going to do it right and do it well before I'm willing to do it. And that's just false. Like, we have to get going and let go of that perfectionism and give it a try. So I had a few more notes, but that's the gist of it. And I know you guys have lots of things to say, and I definitely want to hear from Tracy.
All right. Thank you, Elizabeth. Great points as always. I also thank you for asking me to join you. This is my very first time, I think, even speaking on book club. So I'm a little nervous. So I have notes. So bear with me. First of all, the name of the chapter, or the name of the book, drew me in right away. I'm forever talking with my husband and my kids. And when they're like complaining about things, I'm like, all right, so that's what went wrong. What went right? What did you learn? What can you do different next time? It's not always easy to make them stop and look at it, but it has been something that I know, especially with my son in the Army, has really helped him, because he can't really tell them no. So he's got to deal with it and figure out how to do better next time. But to go along with what Elizabeth said, in chapter 1, the things that really stuck out to me was on page 15, Maxwell wrote, the number of severity or losses isn't as important as how you experience those losses. Yes, all losses hurt, and they make an impact on us, an impact that is rarely positive. Losses change us, but we must not allow them to control us. We can't let fear of looking silly or incompetent paralyze us. We can't let fear or negative consequences keep us from taking risks. Allowing negative experiences from the past to warp our future is like living in a coffin. We've all done things in our past, whether personal relationships, jobs, the business, that we wish we could have changed, that we would have done differently. And it could either be like we didn't get our promotion, we didn't do our IPA, we didn't listen to our leaders, we lost a prospect or a possible customer because of things we did. Oops, and I just lost half my screen. Sorry about that. Hit my mouse on accident. I'm not used to my touchpad. Sorry about that. Anyways, instead of letting ourselves be defeated by it, we need to really just be able to stop and learn from it, and realize that we're still learning as we're going, and give yourself a little bit of grace and reach out to those people who can help you and move forward with what you've learned, so we don't repeat the same mistakes. And then in chapter 2, Elizabeth already touched on a lot of what I was going to say too. But in chapter 2, pages 22 and 23, he talks about having the spirit of learning and being teachable. And I really liked how he listed like the questions to have the different characteristics of unteachable leaders. And the part that I really liked about it was where he said, if you answered yes to many of these questions, you may not possess the spirit of learning. However, please don't be discouraged. If you've gotten off to a bad start, don't worry, you can change. Remember, it's not the finish, it's the start that counts most in life. Sorry. So if there is something that you feel you didn't do, especially with our business, if there was something you didn't listen to your upline, you weren't coachable or teachable, you can still change that. It is not too late. We can still go back and revisit some of those losses and hard lessons that we've learned and actually learn from them and move forward with them. Yeah. And then he does go in to explain how you can do that. Oops, that's on, I believe, page 28. And I know I'm talking really fast, but he does talk about having to be humble and being open-minded and being willing to learn. But but mostly he talks about how you do need to take that time to pause and reflect on what you did or didn't do. He's lists some different questions you can ask yourself to make sure you're getting the most from your learning, like what went wrong, when did it go wrong, where did it go wrong, why did it go wrong, but also how did I contribute to making it go wrong. You can't look at what other people did because you can't control that. You have to look at what you did to help make it go wrong. And what you can learn from the experience and what you can do differently in the future to move forward. So, yeah. Well, I know I ran through that really fast.
You did great. We're doing great on time. And it's so true. Like, I know, Jack's basketball. He's like, well, if that kid wouldn't have done that and that kid would have done that better. Well, Jack, you can't change what they're doing. You can encourage and you can be a good leader and say, hey, don't worry that you miss a free throw. Like, don't worry about it. You'll get it next time. And Jack's really good on the court with that. And some of the other kids aren't. And they'll like say, why did you miss that pass? I can't believe you did. Like they'll yell at the other teammates and then the whole morale just goes down so much. But just with, when we're in the car, it's like, but how could have you played different? Oh, I could have done this. And we're like, you're really aggressive in practice. Put that into practice in the games too, right? Like reminding what goes well. And I will say too, with Plexus, like we do get to learn and grow and learn as we earn. There is no like horrible life and death situation. We're not like these brain surgeons that if something goes wrong, we kill somebody. We really do have the ability to reflect back on how, what messages are working. Oh, which follow up system that I do works. Like we can reflect back on those daily activities, how we're keeping track of things, how we're posting, what times of day we post might work better. If we can kind of tune into that a little bit and reflect, then that's going to be huge information back to us. And it's not like the end of the world, right? There's no like huge problem with somebody dying because we didn't post at the right time. Something like that. So anyway, you guys have stuff to say since we have 12 whole minutes to talk. And great job, Tracy. Really great. I'm like, oh, well, I just worked myself out of the job, didn't I?
Okay, I'll go. I put it in the chat, but I liked that he had the 11 traps that we all fall into. Um, and I found myself being like, I think I've fallen in all 11 of them at certain parts, maybe a couple, but I thought that was really great because it was, I just, that was my favorite. Like I want that somewhere just so when I fall in the trap, not to get stuck there, right? Like I want that printed out somewhere. And Tracy,
Absolutely.
you did great. Also, echo that.
She did. She did. Oh, thank you for sharing. You're so right. Like being mindful and aware, awareness is a big, so then we can catch ourselves. Oh, I'm in the trap. Let me get out of the trap. And what do I need to do to get out of the trap? Oh, okay. Maybe some positive affirmations, maybe some action in this direction. How can I get out of that trap instead of staying there? But awareness is huge. So good, you guys. I have not started the book. My book is in Midland. So we sent it to the wrong address. But loving the concept of this book. I mean, success and failure go together. We don't lose, we learn, right? It's like when like the kids, it just reminds me so much of like how we can utilize this with our kids and parenting. Hannah will call and say, oh, I didn't do great in an exam, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, well, what did you learn? What can you do different? What are you going to implement next time? Like, like she knows I'm not going to yell at her. She's not going to get in trouble for it, but I'm going to ask some questions and, in a growth mindset type of a way. So that way she can figure out the answer for herself. And, the next time she goes to study, she'll implement what she's learned and move forward with it, right? Like you can't win without losing, really, and you can't be successful without failures. So this is a great book. I can't wait to start reading it. Yeah, Tracy just typed in the chat, the most important person you talk to is yourself. So be careful what you say to yourself. That's true. And I meant to look on YouTube and see if it's narrated on YouTube, because sometimes his books are on there, and I was driving when I had the thought, and so I did not do it then.
Y'all, I can't get it right now, but there is a kids version of this book that I bought, but it's somewhere and I've not opened it. But there is a kids version that I bought because I was like, to Rochelle's point, like, oh my goodness, not only for me, but like if we can instill this in our kids at an early age, like with, huge. So I'll let you know about the kids book. It's somewhere. I ordered it, but we've yet to look at it.
Put it in the team page. I think, Tracy said it is on YouTube. I think there's sometimes you win, sometimes you lose for teens too, because I gave it to Ella a couple of years ago. I don't think she's read it, but at least she has accessibility to it. Maybe she'll read it now that we're reading this one. She said she's looking for more hobbies. So there you go.
Okay, I can't not say anything, but I have to say, I didn't prioritize reading as much as I should because I'm preparing for the call that I was just trying to get the Zoom link for. So, but I like how he was really talking about, or how you guys were mentioning, not being attached to the outcomes as much as we are the processes. And that's so huge. No matter where we are in this state of the business or where we are in our health, and not beating the garbage out of ourselves. I mean, because we all go through different things, and it's never too late to get back on that horse and try again and keep doing the things. And you know what? Did you do your best? Well, maybe you didn't. Okay, try again. Keep doing that. So I like how there's not only there's forgiveness in it, because we all need that. So I kind of like that. That's my point. That's as good as I get today.
That is awesome. Such good points. Such good points. I actually, so he talked in chapter 2 about accidents being successes, like the penicillin, the making of rubber, the discovery of rubber, and like saran wrap, but also kind of along the lines of being humble too. Like this pharmacist sounds like he was pretty like hoity-toity about all of his inventions, and then he made Coca-Cola with water, but his assistant mixed it with soda water and it was so better. Now I've wanted a Coke ever since. I actually will never drink like an entire Coke unless it has alcohol in it, but I've been wanting a Coke like all since yesterday. But did anyone else have the thought, because didn't Coke used to have like cocaine in it? And so I don't want that. No, I'm already high strung enough. I do not need that. But anyway, I was like, he totally left that part out, right? Where that's just this syrup and soda water. Oh, the other thing I wrote down too was like the comparison. He talked, I think that was more in chapter 1, but comparison. I wrote this down a couple of times. So let's find my notes so it makes more sense. But using comparison and how we will compare ourselves our best day to somebody else's worst day, or somebody else's best day to our worst day, you know, opposites. And just how then that comparison is like going to eat away at us of how much we're a failure, because, you know, maybe you started the business at the same time as somebody else. I know when I was, you know, moving up with the business and stuff, I was like, but I started when she did, and she's already a Ruby and I'm not. And then I reminded myself, like, I still was in pain a lot of days. I was still working these crazy hours and all weekend at the hospital and home all week with my kids and running them to school and different things. And my husband was in school. Like, we had so much going on. And I had to just remind myself, like, but I have different life things happening too, and I'm still growing, right? Like, I'm still growing. And so just remembering that, and then, you know, the diamonds will say too frequently, your points are right where you deserve them to be. Your points are where you know, and I think that's very true. Like, you can say, well, I did all this work 3 months ago, but the last 2 months maybe I haven't done as much. You know, like, your points are going to reflect your consistent work. And we've talked a lot about that, like consistency. What is it? Consistency beats intensity. However often, all the time. And things like that. So just kind of remembering we're all on our same path, and it's okay. It's okay. But just, and, you know, oh, and then the guy that was mad at, was it his brother or the opponent? And he was like chipping away at the statue and then chipped away and it killed him. How extreme, how extreme. But I think the point is when we are picking away at something that is bothering us because we didn't achieve that and we're bitter about it, it's bitterness. That chipping away and remaining in bitterness, it literally will kill us. So there's that too. All right, you guys want a 2-minute potty break before Jackie's amazing call? All right. Thank you so much for getting on, you guys. Really great book. I'm looking forward to getting through this one from start to finish, since I told you I've read like half of it twice. So the first half twice. Now it's a third time, but that's okay. So, all right. See you on Jackie's call. Thanks for getting on. Good job.